What's up, guys? We're back here in Archeworld. Let's take one final look at what the economy looked like for the first year of Archeworld, and specifically this 3-week period of houses getting destroyed and the blue salt stars being removed. So for those that are new to the channel and don't know what we're talking about, let's go a quick recap. So there was this thing called the blue salt stars that you could trade in archeum for BSLT. This was essentially the game buying archeum from the players and giving them BSLT. So the kind of gameplay loop went something like the players went and got land, they rented out these places, made a tent, put a tent down, put a bed down, put an archeum machine down, and clicked on the buttons, processed it for 12 hours, rinsed, repeat, made more archeum. They also got bigger houses as well, as you can see, because the bigger houses would give you more archeum and produce more labor points. With that all being said, the archeum price was currently around 60 to 70 BSLT for 10,000 archeum. But once they removed most of the BSLT stars from this system, the price now went to a more supply and demand based price of a 35 to 40 BSLT for North America server. So essentially they stopped being the biggest buyer of archeum on the server, allowing the players to actually set the price, which is what needed to have happen anyway, because this is a player run game and it is not sustainable for the game company to constantly fix prices and set prices at certain levels. So with this all being said, like I said, we're down to 35 to about 40 BSLT for 10,000 archeum. On top of that, labor potions, which is also generated from the houses, have seen a decline, but nothing in the range of the archeum, which saw about a 50% decline. Labor potions were around 5 BSLT, and now they're currently sitting around 4 BSLT. So not too much of a decline in value off of labor potions, which means beds in houses are still quite profitable. But this also touched a whole bunch of other systems in place, specifically the processing machines for the archeum. So if archeum itself is not worth much money, the processing machines that make the archeum, of course, were going to go down in value. And they did. They went down significantly, as you can see in this chart here, from around 200 BSLT 2 weeks ago to about 135 BSLT for the green ones, which is undervalued on what it actually costs to make this. This takes 50,000 archeum, and that would end up being approximately around 180 BSLT to make right now. Then there's also the grand ones, which again are also a little bit undervalued, not as crazy undervalued as the green ones, but these guys are currently around 475 BSLT and steadily declining. These things were way more expensive prior to the archeum price decline and have kind of seen their prices mirror the archeum price going down. As archeum goes down, these things get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. But there's also beds that can produce labor and be upgraded via archeum. And these guys have held their value fairly well because beds are actually still quite profitable, right? Like if you have a house right now, you want to have a bed as upgraded as possible because labor potions are still, pretty valuable. 4 BSLT for labor. And a basic bed is going to get you 1 labor potion plus some extra per day. An upgraded bed, a rare one, is going to get you approximately 4 labor potions per day. So you can see you're going to start generating a nice amount of income. This is also going to be requiring that same amount of archeum to make, just like the processing machines, but you can see it's a lot more expensive, 550 BSLT approximately for this versus 475 for the archeum machines. Because in a player-run economy, if something is good, people are going to buy it, and there won't be many people selling it, and it's going to be more about the exact price that it costs to craft and make this, right? The archeum machines are not good right now, so there's a whole bunch of people selling them, and they're underpriced based on what it would cost to actually make them. Another thing that we saw shoot up, actually, was the Shadowgun heroic crystals. So the yellow Shadowgun crystals have shot up to about 4,000 BSLT in these last couple of weeks. And there are more and more people that are actually demanding these things. So you can see 2 yesterday, 3 the day before, 1, 1, 4, 4, 1. So a decent chunk. If you looked at this, months back, there would be like one person who had bought 1 or 2 every couple of weeks. But we're seeing, like 15 have sold roughly in the last 2 weeks. That's a big increase, right? And these things are only used for high-end upgrades, like getting tier 6 weapons and armors, or heroic mounts and heroic gliders. So very high-end stuff. More people now, thanks to the archeum price being cheaper, are able to progress their character and get up to this tier 6 level. So if you look at the rankings, you'll notice that there's more and more people that are getting close to 19,000 and 20,000 gear score equipment points, because they're getting up to that, tier 6, getting their first tier 6 weapon or armor, or they have maxed kind of like everything out at tier 5 level. You can see this person is still at tier 4 on accessories, 18.5, but it does already have a tier 6 weapon. So yeah, so archeum price did have an effect on that. The Shadowguns, though, the lower level ones, the purple and blue and green, actually saw the opposite, though. They saw a decrease in value, which kind of shocked me, right? I expected the purple Shadowguns to go up in value, but they've been hovering right around between 300 and 350 this last couple of weeks. Prior to that, they were around approximately 400 BSLT, but there's been just, less demand for these guys, surprisingly. And there's multiple pages of purple Shadowguns on here, which is, again, surprising. Right? When you go and look at the heroic, there's only like 2 heroics up here for sale. But I think why there's so many purple ones for sale is because there's a lot of blue ones for sale as well. And the blue price has also gone down. So very slightly down in value here. It's about 25 BSLT for a blue Shadowgun rare crystal. These things used to be around 30 BSLT, so nothing too crazy, but a small decline there. And there is quite a few on here. And again, more and more people probably are doing these crafting, making these Shadowguns. The green ones are a little bit under 2 BSLT right now. You can see some at 1.89, but a lot at 2 BSLT. These are actually crafted via the farming materials, which I'm not personally tracking the farming materials, but things like logs, let's go take a look at these, ore, and scian probably are seeing a little bit of increase in value, and it does look like there's a slight increase here in the price of these materials. I would expect some people to stock up on logs and lumber for the naval update tomorrow, thinking that this might actually go up in value. But one of the biggest items that has actually spiked up in value is the yellow archeum core shards and yellow archeum cores themselves. So these things are up to 0.311 as the cheapest, and some are actually selling all the way up to 0.399. These things used to be 0.0045, 0.1, and before that they were about before that they were about 0.005 to 0.01. So they've seen about a 3 times increase in value. The completed shards themselves have seen a big increase in value as well. These things are all the way up to 140 BSLT, and with a lot of people purchasing them yesterday and the couple days before. So people are either stocking up on these things thinking they are cheap at that 40 to 45 BSLT range, or they're using them for crafts and upgrades. these things used to be around 25 BSLT to 30 BSLT, very, very cheap. So you can craft these things with infusions. And with those being very expensive, the infusions are also going up. You need 300 purple infusions, and these things used to be around 0.04, and now they're around 0.08, creeping upwards as well. So I did load up on a decent amount of the yellow Shadowgun shards and crystals, because we've talked about that in a video before, that we thought that those were going to go up in value once more and more people reach the tier 6 level. And this is happening sooner than I thought because of the archeum price going down so low. So everything has a cause and effect to it, right? If archeum price stays cheap like this, more and more people will be able to upgrade and get to tier 6. Also, we don't know what is going to happen with the Shadowgun crystals in this next patch tomorrow. They could make the heroic yellow Shadowgun crystals a lot easier to acquire, or even if they give out an arc pass that gives out a purple Shadowgun crystal in the arc pass, essentially for free, that will also have an effect on the price of Shadowguns. I do think the Shadowguns are going to go down because they said they are releasing tier 7 weapons and armors. In order to do that, they need to have the unique Shadowgun crystal, and then they also need to have unique Shadowgun like archeum cores. In order to make a unique Shadowgun crystal, you need to combine at least 4 heroic crystals, 4 of the yellow ones, and have a proc to get there, if they keep the same system that we currently have. And it takes around 16 or so of those, so about 4 tries to get a proc to happen, which means you need approximately 16 yellows to make 1 unique. In my experience with this RNG generator and crafting, that's a lot of yellows. So if each yellow is going to cost 4,000 BSLT, that means you're going to need 16 of those. That's going to look at around 56,000 BSLT to craft 1 unique crystal. That is just pretty insane right there. It's going to be a lot of money, and I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think the unique crystals will be very expensive, but I don't think they're going to cost 56,000 BSLT. Let's just say BSLT is at 10 cents. It's currently right around 15. If it costs 56,000 for a crystal, you're looking at $5,600 at 10 cents BSLT just for that crystal. That's a crazy amount of money for a crystal. So I do think that all of these Shadowguns have to go down in value, which then helps players gear up as well. So if they generate new Shadowguns in the game, or make the drop rates easier for the Shadowguns, or if there's just a raid boss that can drop a Shadowgun or something like that, then I think we see more Shadowguns in the world, which pushes the price down, which then makes the tier 7 a little bit more accessible. I don't think they want it to be super cheap, right? But I don't think they want it to be, $5,600 for a crystal. Everything is player run though, so it's all going to be based on supply and demand. If there's a lot of them in the world, there's not going to be much value to them, because there's only going to be 1 or 2 people that are actually going to need them for upgrades if they continue on the path that they are doing with the gear upgrades. Because currently right now, no one in the North America server is actually ready to make a tier 7 weapon or armor. They need lots and lots of archeum. So the top ranked player here is Spell, because Ustan, who was number 1 in North America and South America region, has actually transferred over back to Asia, and he is now playing on, I believe, Asia server 1. So he was the only person that had a 23,000 gear score, which now means that the top player over here is Spell at 21,800, and he has a unique +8 long spear as his weapon, and he still needs 4 million archeum on this to go up to the next level. And then on top of that, you still actually have to upgrade it more. He needs probably around 10 million more archeum. So he needs probably around 15 million archeum just to attempt to upgrade his main primary weapon here. So 15 million archeum is a lot of archeum. And then if you look at his bow here, he's also going to need a lot more there, 1 million there, and then he's going to need a couple more upgrades as well. So there is a lot of upgradings required. Like, he doesn't even have tier 6 armors, so he's at tier 5. He's not, looks like he is trying. These are maxed out tier 5 helmet, and this is a maxed out tier 5 armor chest piece. And you can tell it's maxed out because it doesn't have a thing where it says how much XP is needed. So you look down here at this belt, it says XP 532 of 125,000. The chest does not have that. The chest is completely, and it says max grade, regrade available. And same thing with the helmet. Max grade, regrade available. And same thing down there. So still, Spell himself, the #1 player in America, has a lot more upgrading to do for tier 6 before he should even consider going to tier 7. So that is kind of the mini update here. I'm sure there's a bunch of other things that we didn't catch on the economy and what's going on with certain crops and things that are going up in value. If you want to share any information or point out anything that I made a mistake on, post it down below in the comment section. Love to hear from you guys. I am eagerly awaiting this update tomorrow. This is going to be a massive game-changing update on September 6th. So tomorrow, less than 24 hours, we will see the first naval content here, the first boats, the first little pet system, the Luminia, they're calling it. And yeah, the houses are getting buffed as well. So for the last 3 weeks and what has happened, I was pretty spot on the guesses and the correction of prices going down, and a little off on the Shadowguns. I thought the Shadowgun prices were going to go up. Only one of the Shadowguns went up. The top end yellow one went up, but all the other ones went down in value slightly, which I find is surprising. But yeah, correction. I did expect that the BSLT price was going to rebound, right? So we were hoping that it would get down to 5 cents so I could go buy a whole bunch of BSLT, but it didn't get that low. It was as low as about 10 cents was the final panic when everyone's like, sell, sell, sell. And then it now has rebound to around 15 cents. And I do think that it is going to continue to go up after this update as people see the new stuff and try to get there first. So it is a big race where people just throw tons and tons of money at an update to get things first because that's just what you do. And it's like a sign of prestige and greatness and honor, and you get people like talking about you, and people are very impatient. It's a good time, right? So there's going to be a lot of ways to make money in the next update and the next patch here. You just have to think and figure things out, and trial and error, guys. There's going to be so much stuff to go and discover and find out. Read the patch notes. That is the #1 thing that you want to do when the update comes live. You're going to want to read the patch notes, see what has changed, check things out, and also check out the new content. See when the Kraken is available to fight, because most likely there's only going to be a small period of time where you're going to be able to fight the Kraken. And get together with your friends, because you're going to need a whole bunch of people to go fight the Kraken. You might not be able to kill it even without rowboats. Like, you might not be able to kill it day one with rowboats and things like that. You might have to build boats and then use cannons. We don't know what kind of defense this Kraken is going to have or how powerful it will be, but I do think that it is going to be an epic battle, especially for all those people that have not seen this fight in action. Alright guys, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching as always. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are still here, and I will see you tomorrow post-update with some videos and content and reactions to this massive update. My first thoughts on it. Thanks guys.